happy Fireside Chat Day to all of you Everyday Athlete Podcast Network listener. My name is Jason Bahamundi and I am your host. Thank you for joining me. I have a very special guest, Derrick Song, who is going to be joining me here in a second. I was introduced to Derrick by Armando at Alethea Run, and I'm super excited to have him on the show. Derrick, and I'm not going to give away too much about who Derrick is, but he is a marathoner. He loves to cook, and we'll get into how he got started in our sports along with favorite cuisines and everything else. But before I bring him on, I just want to ask you guys to remember to subscribe, rate, and review the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network on your favorite podcast platform. If you're using Spotify, please do me a favor and add a comment to the show that you've listened to. It really does help us with their algorithm and getting us ranked higher so more and more people can hear us. In addition to that, I want to remind you also that the Everyday Athlete Clubhouse memberships are open. It is inexpensive, $15 for a year, $25 for a lifetime. And if you want to add our Enjoying the Journey hat to it, just add another $25, which is a 20% savings. It'll come in your welcome box, which will have postcards with discount codes from our merchandising partners, as well as some goodies in there. And then lastly, you'll be able to experience exclusive content from us, as well as being able to get, pardon me, I lost my train of thought. You'll also be able to get onto our Slack channel. So without any further wasting of time, let me bring Derrick on the show and let's have some fun. Derrick, how are you?
Good, man. How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, thanks for saying yes to coming on the show. We always use an icebreaker to start the show. And since you told me you're really into cooking, I can't wait to hear your answer on this.
Yeah.
Pineapple on pizza, yay or nay?
No.
Yes.
I'm not a hater. People can order what they want, but like, am I doing it? I'm not doing it.
That's right. I'm with you. Like, order it all you want. Enjoy the whole entire pie, but I'm not doing it either.
Yeah, and don't call it Italian food either, but eat what you want.
All right. Second question here. Who is Derrick Song?
Oh, I like that. That's deep. Derrick Song, he's a dude from Downey who somehow made it into cybersecurity, and he spends too much time running now.
So that's an interesting statement. Why do you say too much time running?
Yeah, I love running, but it's become, I don't know, it kind of feels like it's been a little excessive. I train 6 days a week right now. And I don't know, I run probably 40 to 50 miles a week. Look, if you're an ultra marathoner, you're like light work. But if you are a regular non-running person, I think that seems excessive. I was a regular non-runner only like 6 years ago. And if you told me I'd be running 40 miles, I'd say that's too much.
So I am an ultra runner and I run 40 to 50 miles a week. I am a low volume ultra runner as well. So it's always interesting to have different perspectives on how much is too much, how little is too little, and different aspects of what running really is. And I think that's the beauty of running, right? It's what you make of it, and what you think is right for you. So how did you get started?
Like most marathoners out there, I broke up with my girlfriend. That's how it started.
Can we laugh about that? Wait, can we laugh about it?
No, it's funny. It's like I always ask people who are into distance. I go, "Who hurt you? Like, what happened? Why are you doing this?" And it's like half the time it's a breakup. It seems like. But I mean, I was with the same chick for 10 years. We were engaged. Stuff happened. I ate magic mushrooms and learned about myself. Like things happened and I wasn't with her anymore. And running, when you're in a spot like that, kind of down and you're trying to figure out life, running is so good because it gives you this space to be unbothered. Like, normally you got your phone on, pinging alerts, people are calling you. But if you go running, just everyone knows not to message you, or not to pick up the phone or whatever it is. And if you run without music, it's this special place and time and space where you got time to think and to really have a conversation, a dialogue in your head, or just sort out your problems. And I have problems, so I needed hours and hours and hours of space. So, yeah, running gave that to me.
When you got into it, did you do research or did you just say, here are some running shoes and I'm going to go and however long I go is however long I go. And then did it progress from there?
So you know the movie Forrest Gump?
Yeah.
Like in the middle of Forrest Gump, there's a part where, Jenny comes back, he's thrilled, they sleep together, she leaves in the morning, he's devastated. And what does he do? He goes and he runs. He just leaves the house and he runs to the other freaking side of the country. And so I had my Forrest Gump moment. I just got out of my house, picked a direction, and I ran until I didn't feel like it. And then I turned around and went home.
Do you remember how far you ran?
I mean, it was total run was over an hour.
Yeah.
For somebody who didn't run at all before that, it was I ran until I didn't feel like it.
That's amazing. Like that, honestly, like to just say I'm going to go run for the first time and have it be an hour is amazing. And to have the mindset like, okay, I'm done with this, I'm going to go back home now is also amazing, right? Like, who knows the decision-making process that you had in that moment? Because it could have gone on for longer than an hour. You could have gotten tired within 10 minutes. Like, how often do you reflect on that first run?
When people ask me about it, but I really think about Forrest Gump because, like, just like in the movie, people are like following him. He's got like this cult following, and then
Yeah.
like at one point he stops, and everyone's like, shh, shh, like he's gonna talk, and then he goes, "I'm pretty tired now. I'll go home." And it was really just like I had no idea when I was gonna stop. I really went until I didn't feel like it, and I probably I don't know, ran slower, walked a little bit back home, but like it wasn't about running. It was just I
Yeah.
needed to do something.
How quickly
And
did run number 2 happen?
Probably within a day or two. It was pretty quick. So my dad, growing up, I grew up in the church, and my parents were religious, and my dad ran 5 marathons in his late 40s. He ran the LA Marathon at 45, 5 years in a row. I have no idea why. I actually should ask him why, but he just like did it randomly. And growing up, everybody at church would always tell me like, your dad is incredible. Like he ran a marathon. He ran 5 marathons. It was always on my mind of like this just bucket list to do thing to like follow in his footsteps. And I had said I was going to do it since I was like 23 and I never did. And when this was happening, I was 33. And so after I did that first run, I always had it in the back of my mind, like, I want to follow in his footsteps. And I flirted with running for a little bit. And then I, pretty quickly made that decision to, say like, this is the year I'm going to finally like live up to that promise.
Was the idea to finally live up to that promise to run a marathon or just be engaged in running?
No, to run a marathon. I wanted to, I wanted to show old man that I could do it too. You know what I mean? And then the stretch goal was I got to do it faster than he ever did it. Because you can't have a kid and have the next generation be softer than you. Like I don't believe in that. We got to get better.
Okay. So have you beaten your dad's time at the marathon distance?
It's not even close. It's not even close, brother. I mean, look, he's so proud of me. Like I got tough Asian parents. So for me to confidently state that they're proud of me is a serious statement.
Yeah.
But I have taken his marathon hobby to just a totally different level. The PR, yeah, I shattered his PR a while ago, but also I don't run the same race twice. I run every race in a different I try to go to different countries, different continents. And so, he ran the LA 5 times. I've run 9, and 7 of them have been in different countries.
Why? Why is it so important for you to either go to different countries or different cities for these marathons?
I mean, when I started out with okay, number 1 was to follow in his footsteps. But after that, I didn't want to run the same race again. And I wanted an excuse to travel. I still, like at the time of the second marathon, I still wasn't like a skilled or competent runner. I wasn't running all that fast, but I wanted to keep doing it. And so I figured if I could like combine running with an excuse to travel. Also, like I was single, right? So I'm like,
Yeah.
let me go to the countries where there's baddies, right? Like whatever women, like I'm being so honest with you right now. I chose the first several destinations based on where I thought women would be the most attractive. I'm not lying. Um, okay, I guess I gotta tell you which where the first one was, right?
Yeah, because you know that's the next question. Like, where are you?
So the first international choice was the Berlin Marathon.
Head to Germany.
I headed to Germany. It was actually my second time in Berlin. I had a phenomenal time the first time there. And then after that, I did Big Sur, which is domestic. But then after that, I did Sydney. Sydney was like the second international. They're beautiful in Australia. I can say that. They know it. But yeah, I mean, that was like part of the initial thought process was like, let's not just go to different countries and hit on chicks. Like, let's run marathons in foreign countries and then hit on chicks. Was some of the idea.
All right. So far, I've got 3 out of 9 places. I've got you in Berlin. I've got you at Big Sur, and I've got you in Sydney. Where are the other 6 locations?
Not. Let's see. I'll try to say them in order. So we went from Big Sur to Sydney, and then we did LA for the second time with Venice Run Club. After that, I went to Rio de Janeiro. One of my favorites. So cool. I have a lot to say about that race and that culture and the place, but it was one of the best experiences I had. After that, I did New York domestic, but it's a world major. Had to make some room for world majors. After that, I went to London, and then I did Chicago. And I think that's 9. Am I missing? I don't know if I'm counting correctly right now, but
yeah, because you said LA twice, so you have 4 world majors, LA twice, so that's 6, and Rio de Janeiro would be 7, and Big Sur would be 8.
Yeah, I feel like I'm missing one, but that's about it for now. I'm actually.
Well, here's the thing about New York and Chicago and LA. They're all like, yes, they're in the US, but they are all different worlds. They are all different cities. They all have different things about them. So while you can't check off multiple countries with it, I mean, those are dramatically different cities. You said you had a lot to say about Rio de Janeiro. Like, what were the top 2, 3, 4 things about the race and the country and the city in and of itself that were just top notch?
Okay, so first of all, I had 0 expectations for Brazil. Like, no offense to Brazil, but I had my personal first destination was Berlin, right? I'm thinking Germany, so like Brazil's like the opposite of that. But it surprised me, it surprised me so much. It might be one of my favorite countries in the world now. I didn't realize how much I would vibe with like everything that place is about. Like, let me paint this picture for you. I speak Spanish, right?
Okay.
But they're real dark skinned, but they sound like they're speaking Spanish, but it's not Spanish.
Yeah, it's Portuguese.
So they don't look Spanish, but they sound like they're speaking something that is Spanish but isn't. And they're in this freaking jungle just eating meat and fruit. Like, that's their diet, is they eat meat and fruit. And by the way, that's how I like to eat. I like to eat whole unprocessed foods, meat, veggies, rice, beans, fruit, right? So they got all the foods I like. The freshness of the produce is out of this world. Like acai is harvested in northern Brazil, and they're getting all their fruit domestically. The cost of living is pretty favorable. Like, they got their own currency, and it's cheaper than the dollar. So now I'm eating good for less than $12 a dinner type of thing. And culturally, they're very outdoorsy people. Like, they like to be outside. Like, you go to the beach on like a weekend, it's the most packed place in the city. Everyone's either playing sports or running or biking or hiking or swimming. But like, America's got a lot of cultures in it, but like as a whole, we're not really that kind of a place. We do a lot of stuff here,
Right.
but it's not all about being outdoors and active. So you can tell that the people are like that, like that
Yeah.
they connect with physicality and like being in tune with your body. And everyone's in, not everyone, but like most people are in phenomenal shape there. To tell you like a quick little story about like how this culture manifested to me. I was running the Rio Marathon, and around like mile 20, I started to like, I guess, looked a little bit down.
Hmm.
Not quite hit the wall, but I like looked like I was like fading. And then this dude saw me and like he starts yelling at me in Portuguese. He like points at me specifically, like in this like sea of runners. And he like is yelling, he runs out onto the course in front of me and he starts flexing at me. He's just is yelling Portuguese and flexing at me. And I couldn't explain to you why, but this shit got me so fired up, brother. Like I was like, I don't know what you're saying, man, but I love it. I love this energy. And like I sprinted off and I I couldn't let that man see me not running.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
after I got out of his field of vision, like I probably slowed down the pace a little bit, but that's never happened to me before. I've never had a buff man jump out of the crowd and start flexing and yelling at me in the middle of a race to get me back on the horse, And that's just so representative of like, I don't know, maybe it's because I was like the only Asian there or something. But I want to say like maybe because I looked out of place because I'm one of the very few Asian people there, but I felt the love because they're like, this dude, he's running, he's doing what we like. He's out there crushing it. And like all the content that I posted while I was there went crazy viral. And just Brazil just showed me so much love. I have nothing else to say other than like I love that place.
That is so awesome. So you say you don't go to places more than once. Would you make an exception then for this one at some point?
Easy. I and any younger man that is like asking me for advice, like what have you learned from all your places? I'm like, go to Brazil. Don't ask questions. Anyone who tells you that is dangerous, just tip your cap, keep going. Because in fact, I like that people think Brazil is dangerous. It keeps the price down for those of us brave enough to go. Just
Yeah.
it's a secret that I don't mind having.
It kind of feels like, and we talked about New York a little bit in the green room, but it kind of feels like New York when people are like, New York is so dangerous. And a born and raised New Yorker I am, like, I just walk around that city as if I own the city, and I don't think anything of any
Yeah.
danger whatsoever. It's home, and you just go there and you do the thing you need to do, and that's it.
I mean, a lot of people. I don't want to say a lot. I don't want to like generalize, but a lot of people fear dictates a lot of people's decision making
Yeah.
without them realizing it. And I'm deep in the marathon game. You're ultra marathoning. How many people out there don't attempt distance for fear that their knee
Yeah.
will blow out or their body will give up, or in the ultra game that I might not come back or something like that. And I mean, it's not that these fears are totally unfounded, but like making decisions based on fear is so, I don't know, I'm just gonna call it lame. Like I don't
Yeah.
think I think I'm past that in life. And now that I'm on the other side of it, I'm like, live a little, y'all. Like, if there even if there is something to be scared of, like, go find out, like
Yeah.
within reason, obviously.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, I have a mantra, and I say it often, and it's take risks and bet on yourself. And when I tell people to take risks, I'm not asking you to jump off a cliff without a parachute. Like, be
Right.
smart about the risk that you're taking, but take the risk and bet on yourself. I can't tell you like the number of people that I've gotten to meet. Like, so for example, right now, and I think I reflect often on this. I don't get to talk to Derrick Song in the middle of December of 2025 unless I take a risk and start a business 5 years ago. It never happens. And now I get to have this great conversation. I learn about his experiences in Brazil. I learn about this jacked muscle guy jumping out at him at mile 20 of the Rio de Janeiro marathon. That gets him fired up. I learned that he does not want to eat pineapple on pizza, but it's okay for somebody else. And I think that's the whole part of living is like the way we get to connect when we take those risks and bet on ourselves.
Well, and I want to add on to that point because I know you're an ultra guy. I know some people would say I would never run 100 like a 100-mile race because it's stupid and you're going to injure yourself and all of this stuff. Okay, but like if you're going to do that, what they don't realize is those people prepared for that. It's not like
Right.
they just went in there blind and said, "Oh, I'm going to do." Like, no, if you account for all of the planning and preparation, it's actually not that risky. Now, what's
Yeah.
risky is doing it unprepared.
Right. And I will say
There's
this.
probably
So,
an analogy there for life somehow.
oh, there definitely is. We're getting back. I shouldn't say we. I'm getting back into the marathon game in 2026. I'm running my first marathon for the first time in 14 years next year, and I am scared to death because it's a whole different training environment and cycle than ultra marathon and ultra trail running is. But I'm doing it. Like I just, it's a risk I'm willing to take. It's been 14 years, and I'm going to learn so much about myself. And maybe and we're kind of getting into running off of running a little bit here, but maybe people are afraid to learn about who they actually are, and so they don't do these things.
Bro, I'll do you one. I'll one up you on that one. People are, myself included, we're afraid to find out what we can do
Yeah,
because it's a pain in the ass to maximize your potential. Like it
it
sounds
is.
awesome, like reach your potential. No, man. I mean, it is awesome, but the ending is awesome. The journey to that glorious ending is painful and riddled with obstacles. And
Yes.
if you do it correctly, you will feel like shit about
Yeah.
as much of the time as possible.
Yeah. And that here's the thing, like we say this a lot too around here is like um failure isn't terminal, it's a building block to success. And so as you're going through this journey, you're going to get run over by a truck, you're going to fall into a hole, all kinds of bad shit's going to happen along the way. But if you take the lessons from that, you're going to get better and eventually you'll find that glorious finish line. And there's nothing like it. I remember my very first marathon finish line. I raced Cocodona 250 the inaugural year they had it. I remember that finish line. I remember the finish line of my first 100. It was awesome. But all the weeks leading up to it, there were moments where you're like, this sucks. Like I would
Mhm.
much rather be sitting on the couch eating Oreos than going for another 10
Mhm.
mile run today.
Or just doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
You could just stay home and do nothing, which is so much easier than the whole
Yes.
lot of something you got to do to get ready.
That's usually the question I ask people too, and we've kind of touched on it a little bit, but like I always ask people like, why do you do this shit? It's fucking hard. It's really, really hard. If you're the person who gets up at 4 a.m., that alarm clock sucks. If you're the person like me who runs at night, like you've gone through the whole day and you're like, I don't want to run. It's 8 o'clock at night. Like
Yeah.
it's all hard. So like why do you enjoy the hard? Because you're doing it. You've done 9 marathons. You've got Tokyo lined up for next year already, which will be at least 10, maybe more. Like, why do you keep doing the hard?
All right. Now we're getting into it. Now we're
Yes.
getting into it. I got answers for you. All right. So, I was just thinking about this in last night's speed session. Well, we're talking about this process of training, and it's horrible and it's difficult, and then you get to race day and you execute, and then you get to the end and it's great at the end, right? Once you have enough of those experiences, well, I do it because the payoff is money. That feeling of just reaching the finish, that you, whatever it is, time, distance, particular race, whatever, it's glorious, right? It's hard to describe how awesome that is, and that's part of the reason. What I want to say is that once you have enough of those, you some of us start to associate the pain with the finish. Because
Yeah.
like you train for a 50 miler, you got to train and there's a great finish. But the 240 miler, you got to train even harder, but the finish is even better. So at some point, if you can get your brain to connect the bad part with the good part, like when you are eating shit in your training session and you're just visualizing how glorious that finish is, now you're one of the distance people. Now you're learning to love it. Just straight up learn. I saw a shirt at Big Sur once. It said, I'm just here for the suffering. It's like a masochistic thing. Like endurance athletes, I think, have done this so long that they have connected the pain of training to delayed gratification later. So much so that like in last night's speed session, I did for the first time, I did 21-minute intervals. That was a
Wow.
workout.
Yeah.
15-minute warm up, 1 minute full send, 1 minute off, 20
Yeah.
times. And this was my first time doing full send. Like in the past, I had been a little bit more reasonable with how I like managed my energy levels. But recently, I decided to get a little more stubborn and a little more ignorant. And my coach was like, she supports me on this. And I'm like, Coach, just FYI, I'm serious. I want to get faster. I'm sending it every time. I'll just die on the track. Like I don't care. This is what I want to do. And she was like, yeah, you're fine. This is safe. Like rep 6, rep 7, I'm done. I feel like I'm toast. The tank is gone. And my training partner who was with me, he's like, I don't think this guy's going to get through the workout. And I'm like, I'll fail every rep if I have to. I don't care if I'm just tanking all of it. Like I am 20 times. I came here to send it 20 times. And at the end of it, he's like, how do you feel? And I'm like, imagine if we do this 10 more times. Like I'm already thinking about what happens after 10 of those types of sessions, how powerful I'm going to be. Like, I don't even think about the pain in the moment. I'm already just fantasizing about like what I'm going to get for my effort. You know what I mean?
feel you. Yeah, because last week was week 1 for my marathon training cycle, and I had 4x800s on there. And the first one, I was a little conservative because I was like, I gotta keep something in the tank for number 4. Well, probably about 2.5. So the second one, by the middle of the second one, I was picking up the pace. By the third one, I was like, just go all out, because the worst case scenario is your body just slows down on its own because you can't go any harder. And that's okay. You're still going to get the 800 in, or in your case, the 1 minute in. But here's the thing that I realized, like, I can endure this, because then we start playing tricks on ourselves in a way, right? So I'm like, if I'm running a 6.5-minute mile, I only have to do this for 3 minutes. Like that's a commercial break in a TV show. I can do this, right?
It feels longer than that.
Yeah, way longer than that. Feels like it's a whole entire show. But we start moving the things around in our mind to say, I can do this for this long. And I'll tell you a really quick story. When I was living in Dallas, Texas at the time, my mentor and the owner of the company I work for asked me, like, he's like, how do you run 100-mile race? And I said, I don't know. And he's like, what do you mean? You've done 6 of them. And I was like, I've not done a 100-mile race. I've done a 1-mile race 100 times. If I can sit in the mile that I'm in and just run that mile, because I know mentally I can run a mile, 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 then it doesn't seem as overwhelming as going into a 100-mile race.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we all got mental games and tricks that we play. That's what distance is, right? It's like it's fighting your mind, and like I feel like I have such a different relationship with my mind and body ever since starting running and endurance sports, and it's interesting. Like if I was to summarize how I feel about it right now, I tell people, I'm like, before my body would tell me what I can do. Now I tell my body what we can do.
Yeah. 100%.
I might be wrong, but it doesn't change the fact that I decide now.
And here's the thing, if it works for you, who cares, right? As long as you feel like you're doing it and it's working out for you, gives a shit what anybody else thinks. Before we go any further, I just want to say thank you to Heather, who is one of our favorites in our community. She's on Instagram and said, we're talking about the pain and all of that stuff. She said that's how she feels about tattoos. The pain makes you feel like you've earned it. And so, tattoos and running go hand in hand. And I have both, so I can attest to both of those things. One of the things I wanted to ask you about as we were talking there, it dawned on me, because we're talking about the correlation between running and our bodies and our minds and how we move things around. Were you working in the role that you are working today when you started running?
Oh yeah, I've been exclusively working in cybersecurity engineering for almost 11 years.
So do you find that your work product, your ability to be creative at work has improved as you've gone through this running journey and figured out that when I first started, I thought my limit was X, but it's actually Y, and I keep moving it further and further down
Mhm.
the road.
Yeah, it's something like that. You know, we all work is pretty crappy for most people. You know, there's always stuff that sucks about every job.
Yep.
But then if you go run 20 miles and just, you know, get destroyed on that, and you know, the amount of it really gives me perspective at work. It's hard for me to the problem seems so small. Like at
Yes.
work, after I do like something really like after a marathon, I trained 90 days. I trained for 4.5 months for this race. I did all this, like it, you know, it was an incredible experience and all this stuff. And then you come back to work, and then Brad, the manager and other team is mad about this thing. And I'm just like, whatever. You know, like I'll take care of it. I'm not gonna ignore it. But like
Right.
if work was my whole life, I might be tempted to think that that is actually super important. I mean,
Right.
it is, but the scale, right? The relativity of like what's important versus not, put your body closer to death, and
Yeah.
then wonder how important some work stuff is.
Could not agree more. Heather chimed in again with the idea of 1 minute at a time or 1 mile at a time. It's simple, which is kind of what you're talking about here when it comes to work and putting it in perspective, but it's very powerful. And I think once we're capable of putting things into perspective, then we understand what actually is required of us as
Yep.
opposed to rushing to go and handle something, right? Like
Right.
you can easily get stressed out. Oh my goodness, I got an email from Brad and the other team and flip out and wig out, and then you start doing it and you're like, this was all it was.
I mean, I, the more difficult things you do, that
Yes.
perspective, you know what I mean? Like people, there are people out there making a mountain out of a molehill, and to them, I'm just like, go do something hard.
Yes.
Just go do something difficult in your life.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
And
That's
it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what the hard is. Like
it doesn't.
I'm terrible at making crepes. Crepes are hard, right? And that's the
Yeah,
thing that I want to go and try to get better at is making
sure.
crepes. So go
Yeah,
do the thing that's hard for you. It doesn't have to be running a mile. Like whatever it is, go do
yeah.
it.
No, I mean that's challenge is important. Doing something difficult is important, and that's why actually I love running, because out of all of the things you could do in this life to introduce challenge to yourself, running might be one of the safest ways to
Yeah.
like artificially generate challenge. If you think about it from the perspective of just simply generating suffering, we're not really in danger. We're fully in control. We're not
Yeah.
professional athletes, so you don't actually have to go any certain speed. Like nothing, you don't lose money or lose
Right.
fans or something if you don't go fast enough. Um, and then you get this like nice structurable activity where you can go harder or farther or whatever you want. And so from that perspective, I find it to be, you know, in the world of life's challenges, it's one of the safest things out there.
You said you ran for an hour the very first time you ran. Did you run with music that very first time, or did you just run sans music?
No, I had stuff to figure out. So, you
Yeah.
know, actually the first couple weeks, I it was really more meditative than athletic. And so I was, you know, whenever I was running or wherever I was running, I really was just in my head trying to sort my shit out. I would just be having conversations with my mind
Yeah.
in my head for like 30 minutes, an hour, like whatever it was. Like I wasn't going to do that if I sat at home at my dining table. You know, I'd go
Right.
get distracted. I'd watch TV or pick up my phone or something. But yeah, running, I could really, that's how I sorted myself out. I had my inner voice, and then I separated that from my mind, and I just I like had conversations with myself. I debated myself. I like argued with myself or whatever it was, until me and the other side of me got to some sort of conclusion. We got to an
Yeah.
agreement about how we felt about that thing. Okay, good. We're good now. No, we can merge into one again, you know?
Yeah, because I don't run with music either, and we're talking about hard. Like, I find sometimes that running with music hard because I want to like just kind of be in my own mind, solving my own problems. and then the music comes on if I'm wearing it, headphones, and like I feel myself running to the music and not solving my problem, so that when the run is done, physically I feel great. But mentally, now I still have all the jumbled mess that I started the run with.
That makes sense. I mean, I've run with music like 99% of the time now, but I think it's because this is going to be like a very dangerous thing for me to say, but I solved most of the problems in my head. So now I feel like I can just enjoy it, right? Like I
Yeah.
do, where I live in San Clemente right now. It is a smaller beach city, population like 50,000 or something like that. But it's like just a tiny little naturally beautiful place. And most of my runs are just joyful. Like they're
Yeah.
just so enjoyable. I go at like sunset, or I pick a nice place with natural beauty. I go at the right time of day so that the weather's not killing me. I put in some tunes, and I just have a blast. I just really enjoy myself. So there's like a lot of different kinds of ways to enjoy running, you know? Like you could be
100%.
trail running, you could be on the track grinding speed, you could be like on some flat beach boardwalk just chilling to music, you could be at a run club. I like to enjoy all of those kinds of experiences of running. I
Same.
really do enjoy running.
Yeah, and I love, like, honestly, like, some people will be like, "I don't know how you do it," but I enjoy running on the treadmill as well. Like, all different varieties of running, sign me up for. Like, let's go do them all,
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
they all bring varying components to helping me become a better runner in general. Um, One of the questions I wanted to ask you, and we've got connected through Armando and Alethea Run.
Yeah.
And before we talk about the wearable and how you've used it, were you prone or susceptible to injury before you were introduced to their device? No. Okay. So
I'm
when you
lucky.
found out, go ahead.
No, I just said I'm lucky with that.
Yeah, so I've gone 18 years. I had a calf strain for about 4 or 5 days, and that's it.
Mhm.
No injuries either. So when you heard about their device, what was your first reaction to it? Were you are you a data person where you're like, the more data the better, or were you kind of like, what is this thing? What am I doing with this?
No, I mean, as I mentioned before, I am in like a technical engineering background. So
Yep.
unsurprisingly, I am like I don't like the phrase like data nerd or anything like that, but I understand the value of data, right? Um, that is to say, like, data isn't everything. Interpreting data is just as important as what data you have.
Yeah.
Um, but why not? I'm techie. I drive a Tesla. I drive a Tesla not because it's cool. It's just because like it's a computer car, and
Yeah.
I got like a sweet computer, and I'm just like I just like tech. Um, but yeah, Alethea reached out to me, and well, first of all, they complimented my content, and I try very hard. Like I love video editing as a secondary hobby now. I like it almost as much as running. So right off the bat, I was like, you complimented the right thing. I'm into this. Um, but no, I mean, like I checked out the product. I heard the pitch. I kind of looked at it. I was like, you guys got something here. They're measuring data that you're not getting from other wearables. You get your heart
Correct.
rate, and you get your cadence, and you get certain things from your Apple Watch or your chest strap, or whatever running watch you got. Um, but I've met the team. I've gone to their lab in Eugene, and they got some real athletes in there that like really they really care about optimizing performance. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And so like I don't even think they've really hit the ceiling of what they can do with that data that they're collecting. It's still a project or experiment in motion in terms of like
Hmm.
what data can they collect, and how can they collect it in a mass producible way and sell it to people, and then what can they how can they action that data? What can they actually teach athletes out there to help them either like run safer, run faster, whatever it is? So, not I connect with their mission from that perspective. I like what they're doing just from a conceptual perspective. Like even if it's not fully done, or if they can't give me like exact recommendations for like how to get better at running right now, I just like the idea that it's a research project still in development.
Yeah. 100%. We'll be going up to their lab in February. The first marathon we're running will be at the end of March. So it'll give us some time to see, and we'll start using the device probably early next week, and getting to that point of the data that you, like you mentioned, you can't get from your other wearables that you're wearing, whatever the watch is, or Whoop band, or Aura ring, or whatever that is. And so I'm interested to see how I can take what they're providing from a data perspective and incorporate it into my own training plan, and how that goes along for you, in the use of it. And for those of you who don't know, it's a belt. It sits on your sacrum on the back, and it measures your force basically, and crossover, and things like that, how your body is moving from your sacrum, from basically from your pelvis area. Um, as you've gone along with the process and using the device, what has been one or two of the most interesting things that you've gotten from the data that they're providing you?
I think that was looking at the Alethea data was the first time I thought about forward lean. When I was trying to develop some speed, I probably could have learned about forward lean through a lot of different ways, like the eventual coach that I found. But they were the first. That was the first avenue where I discovered that I was like leaning backwards a little bit when I ran. I don't know, something. It's like it's almost like a cartoon. But like when I first started running, if I wanted to run fast, I'd lean back as if that makes me faster. When actually the correct form is to like lean forward so that gravity's helping you, right? And so I was like, oh, no one ever told me that. Like no one's ever like watched me run and said, "Guy, stop!" Like, "Hey man, you're leaning back." Like no one says that, right? So I mean, I know form correction isn't everything, and like if just running a lot, you get better at running. But that was the first thing that they immediately helped me out with. As far as like a more nuanced finding that I got from working with Alethea is that my hips are is what I love about them is not I get more detailed findings than just your hips are weak or your hips are imbalanced. Like all of our hips are too weak. All of us sit too much, right?
Right.
I know through working with them that my right hip is the range of motion is more limited than my left. And then my left hip is weaker. Like one side has a strength imbalance, and then the other side has a range of motion imbalance, which if you put those two together, it's obvious one causes the other, right? But like learning that about myself to that level of detail is something that I would have never been able to figure out without Alethea. And I can't say like, oh, I changed everything and I like changed my workout, but being aware of that, I started doing more hip stretches and I started doing more banded hip work. And I appreciate that because part of their concept is that they want to prevent injury. And preventing injury is difficult, brother. Like how do you know what a body looks like that's about to get injured before it got injured? Right? Like even the hospitals don't do that. They just work with you after you're sick. And
great point.
Their idea is it's all about symmetry, that they measure your hips and your forces and stuff, but what they're looking for is asymmetry because and I don't want to speak too much about what their beliefs are research-wise, but from what I took away from my visit there was that they believe that any asymmetry in how you run over time will then eventually manifest as an injury if it just keeps becoming more and more asymmetric. So it's not even about specific things they're looking for. They just want things to be nice and balanced. And so I had an imbalance. It wasn't the worst, but it was above the threshold for significant. And so now I address it. And I've already had a bit of an Ironman history as far as like not being injured and I've just been pretty durable. And I want to keep that record. You know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to take it for granted and be like, I don't need this. I'm an Ironman. No. In order to keep my reputation as durable, this sort of thing is how I'm going to it's only going to help me do it. And there's not that many devices or products out there that help you do that.
Yeah, that's a fantastic testimonial for it because it is about injury prevention. And we know in order to participate in the running events that we're registering for, you got to be not injured in order to show up, right? Like the old baseball adage, the best ability is
availability,
availability, right? Yeah. Like So
Yeah.
it's amazing. I want to ask you one question before we move on to what's in your earbuds and food fighting, so to speak. For you, you mentioned in the green room that you're heading to Tokyo in
Hmm.
2026. That's going
Hmm.
to be your fifth world major. And
Hmm.
when we started the conversation, you said you were picking countries based on the women that were in those countries.
Right.
And now you're heading towards a fifth world major.
Yeah.
Why and how did getting the 6-star world major become important to you?
So the first, okay, so after I went to Berlin looking for chicks, right? I very quickly established sort of a bigger, higher level goal, and the first goal was actually to run a marathon on all 7 continents.
Okay.
Um, I just had it in my mind that it's a world quest. I will run a marathon on like every single continent, and the idea was just like I just wanted to set a lofty goal in life for myself so that like after I'm done with it, that I could focus all in on the idea of like building a family because I didn't like the idea of like going into parenthood and family building with this sort of like, oh, like I could be doing this for myself, but I did this instead. Like, no, well, since I got this far without one, let me just finish all my crap that I would, that I would theoretically have regret over if I had a family, knock that out. And then from then on, if I can make a family, then all of my attention will be on that with no regret. Um, the world majors, man, doing the 7 continents, there's some logistic challenges. And
Yeah.
so um, I'm still going to do it. I have 4 continents so far, but somewhere
I was
along the
gonna say
way,
you're getting close.
yeah, I got 4 majors, I got 4 continents. Somewhere along the way, I did Berlin, which is a world major, and I got a couple, and it just seemed like, it's on the way, and um, that would be cool too. So then I added the world majors as like the second goal, and then it wasn't long until after that where I realized, if I'm going to do all the world majors, it'd be cool to qualify for Boston, because like getting in there
Yeah.
through non-qualification methods is a thing, but it's the mecca. It's where it's like the most prestigious marathon in the world, and so that became my third running goal. There's actually like a link in my Instagram bio to like my marathon tracker, but it lists those 3 goals: 1, marathon on every continent; 2, every world major; 3, qualify for Boston. And that's sort of like my self-created achievement checklist as a runner.
So as you were talking, you made it sound like, and I'd like for you to either correct me or confirm. It sounded like once Boston has been checked off, that marathons might be out for good
Yeah.
and just maybe just running.
So when I was figuring this out, I had to decide like how aggressively will I attack the schedule wise. Like, am I trying to
Okay.
do all 7 in a year or whatever? Obviously, you can't do that. And I realized like the balance of like aggressive schedule versus like safe for your body to me was 2 a year. I want to do one. It was 1 race in the spring, 1 race in the fall, and essentially it was spaced out enough for me to have an excuse to train year round. Like
Yeah.
ultimately, one of the best benefits is doing this hobby. I am just accidentally in phenomenal shape, right? Like I
Right.
don't even have to think about it anymore. So I liked that. So I'm sticking to I plan on running 2 races a year, or one in spring, one in the fall for the rest of my life. And now I think the fun begins after I do the world majors and the continents, because then I could just run like marathons because I think they're cool instead of hitting my
Yeah.
stupid checklist. Um, also, my one of my sponsors, Ostrich Running, he'll be happy to hear it. He knows about this. I will, after I do my checklist, is also when I flirt with, or I try ultra marathoning for the first time, and I already have it on the schedule. But I'll be starting with I plan on starting with the 36 miler at Zion National Park in
Very
2028.
cool. Yeah, I will second the idea of getting into ultras, and it is a different world in not just in the running aspect and concept of it, but I did find that I was able to get better connected to who I am as a person being
Mhm,
out on the trails in the wilderness, because it is very lonely at times, right? Even if you're running with somebody. What's that?
mhm. No, trail running is awesome. Like
Yes.
it's everything about it. I only started trail running this past season, so maybe for the last like 5 months. But I get exactly what you mean about like it's totally different and it can be
Yeah.
lonely, but like I find the lonely thing to be like awesome.
Yes, 100%. So I told you I started running with music, but that's only on the roads. If I'm on the trails, no music, I want to hear twigs crunching underneath my feet. I want to hear leaves. I want to hear birds. I want to hear everything while I'm out there and be able to connect with who I am while I'm out there even more and solve whatever world's problems I have at the time, which would be great. Since you are in like engineering and all of that stuff, can we come up with a device that allows us to, without me having to take my phone out, record my thoughts so I can solve those problems when I'm done? Because I typically
Mm,
forget all of the solutions when I get done.
mm. Yeah, yeah. I'm sure someone could build that. There just needs to be demand.
Well,
Un- un-
there's a world full of runners that probably need it or want it.
Brother, I just want to like go back to this point. There's nothing sweeter than like being on top of a mountain that you ran up and like, you know, I don't know, it just makes me feel like I own nature. Like
Yes,
other people would be out there and they're like scared, like, oh, there's animals or whatever. After you run like 15 miles up a mountain, you're not scared of nothing. You're not scared
yes,
of nothing. You feel like you're a part of nature at that point, and that feeling is just there's so much confidence that I get from it. Like I can only imagine how I'm going to feel once I'm like knocking out 50 and 100 milers.
yes. It is. It's a totally different world. And while I'm marathon racing this upcoming year, we are including the Salt Lake City Foothills race. In I think that's the beginning of May, and they have various distances from 10K up to 50 milers, and we'll race the half marathon there. But we're going to have about 3,000 feet of elevation gain in a half marathon's distance, so there's going to be plenty of hiking and climbing and vert gaining throughout that process to get to that top of that mountain, as you mentioned, and then being able to see, from the Wasatch mountain range, what we're looking at. And it's just that moment to take a deep breath and take it all in and then descend. It's unlike anything else.
Dude, I carry a drone with me when I go trail running, so like I'll get sick footage at the top too. So I'm all about it. You didn't need to sell me. Like I'm going to be doing the ultra thing for
That's
sure.
awesome. Well, hey, we're bumping up on time, and I could talk to you for hours just about the connection between running and who we are as a person as we're out there, and how it's benefited us. But I do want to be respectful of your time. So you said you
Yeah.
run 99% of the time with music. You've got a guitar
Mm,
behind you. What is
mhm.
currently playing in your earbuds when you go out for a run?
Currently, let's see. I mean, I pretty much just like play my Spotify liked playlist, but I'll take the time to drop my favorite band, Wolfpack. It's Vulfpeck. They're like a kind of new school funk band. But I'll try to give you a better, more direct answer. I try to match the music that I'm listening to the environment that I'm in. Because I got a real diverse playlist. I like a lot of different genres. And I've found that like different music hits when it's like daytime versus nighttime, sunny versus rainy, mountains versus the beach. And I just feel like when I get the soundtrack just right and it matches what I'm seeing, it's like my life is a movie. I'm like
Yeah.
running through this thing. And if I'm bombing, I'm like, this is the sickest movie ever. It's a movie about my life. It's a soundtrack that I like. It's in a beautiful natural setting. Why don't more people like running? I don't get it. I don't.
I wish I had an answer for you. We launched this platform to entice more and more people to get into running. And my sister, who's watching us on Instagram, started this year. I've been running for 18 years, and I finally got my sister to start running this year. And she had a great time. She ran her first 5K, and so hopefully that 5K leads to another 5K, and who knows where it goes from there. But to just
Mhm.
keep moving, because there is just something magical about it. It just can't be beaten. I want, before we get into the food questions, I got to say this. This has been such a great conversation because your brain is uber creative, it's uber analytical, and like these ideas of loving to cook, loving to run, being a data scientist at the same time in engineering spaces, like all of these different things if you said one person is them, they would probably say that's not true. But here you are doing it. And I just love how it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, how all of these different pieces of Derrick fit together to make Derrick. It's fucking cool, dude.
I mean, you got to lean into what you are, brother. Like there's no rule out there that said it couldn't be, and it's not like I said, well, I'm going to do it. I just am what I am, and I try to like be really in touch with who I am. And one quality that like I admire in other people out there is when people really embrace who they are and what they're about, and they're not sorry about it. I find that commitment to just leaning in is what creates greatness in whatever you're trying to do, right? You
Right.
can't be great while hesitating on what you're doing or what you are. And so the more that I'm just like doing what I want to do and the less I feel bad about it, you get the result that you get. And I'm not sorry. Like, it's just, I could be doing any one of these paths differently or better, or someone's critiquing it or whatever, but I did it my way, and it makes me happy. So I'm not sorry.
That's exactly it. One of the things I'm known to say is I love watching experts in whatever it is that they're doing because they have leaned into who they are, and that's how they've become an expert at what they're doing. And from me to you, what I see, and we've known each other for a whopping an hour and 10 minutes at this point, is an expert in being Derrick, being unapologetically Derrick. Here's what I do. Here's how I do it. You can love it, you can like it, you can leave it, and that's all okay because I'm going to continue to be Derrick. And there is something to be said about being an expert in who you are so that you can be who you are, which will attract people that you want to be with.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
that's
they will
true.
just, right? It creates a force field. Like if people don't want to, they'll bounce off you and go somewhere else. And that's okay because you don't want to waste time on that shit anyway.
No, I don't want to fuck with those people anyway. They don't want to fuck with me. Like,
Right.
like the more I am myself, the more I can put a warning out there for everyone who's not about it. Like, don't bother. Like, don't
Right.
don't come here.
Right. And it makes life better. And here's the other thing. So we talked a little bit about fear, taking risks, being unapologetically you. And oftentimes it starts out with people not having the confidence to do those things. But
Yeah.
once you do it once and you do it a second time, and all of a sudden that confidence really it grows exponentially that you don't even give a shit whether or not people like you, love you, move on from you. And it is unreal to be able to live in your own skin doing it your own way.
Yeah, I agree. Agree wholeheartedly.
We almost had an Oprah show here just now with this.
I think you had another question before I know we're short on time, but like, what was the last thing?
We were going to get into some food stuff here because we have we call it rapid fire food questions, but take your time to think about them. Nothing needs to be done super fast. But you said you don't eat processed foods at all, right?
No. Well, I mean, I eat what I want, but I try
Okay.
to keep it mostly whole
Okay.
unprocessed.
Perfectly fine. So around here, with our platform, we are massive Oreo fans, and
Mm.
the question is: are you an old school Oreo fan, a double stuffed Oreo fan, the Cakester, or the thin?
Regular Oreos. I'm just a classic guy. Give me a glass of milk though. I need a ice cold glass of milk with that bad boy. I'm dunking it. That's how I always did it.
Perfect. Licorice, red or black, or neither?
Red. Only deep into a marathon if I ran out of carbs.
There you go. Candy corn. Is candy corn a real candy, or is it just earwax covered in sugar?
It is not a real candy. No one likes it, and if you do, you should feel bad about yourself.
Red velvet cake. Is red velvet a real flavor, or is it just chocolate
Oh
cake
yeah.
dressed up to go to the prom?
No, red velvet cake is elite.
What does Derek go to for his post race recovery meal? What are you eating post race?
Oh, dude, okay. Fruit smoothie. Fruit smoothie. If I'm near Erewhon, I'm getting it from there. But the best fruit smoothie I can get. And besides that, we're eating steak and fruit. And then I'm taking a nap. Like it is the post run routine is so dialed.
You
You
going
can't do
straight
better
back to
than
your
that.
Brazil. You going back to
You
your
can't
Brazilian
do
roots.
better than that. How do you do better than a delicious fruit smoothie? Your favorite chopped fruit, gets you some sliced steak and like chimichurri or something, and then just like nap in the sun. Like it doesn't get better than that.
I love it. Creamy or crunchy peanut butter?
Creamy. I'll respect it either
Do
way, but
you,
creamy.
do you eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches?
I do not.
Okay, we'll skip that one for now. Favorite chocolate candy?
Oh, tie between Snickers and Twix.
Oh, excellent choices.
Yeah.
Favorite non-chocolate candy?
Oh, probably like the Haribo, like sour gummy bears. There's a sour gummy bear flavor. I think it's like Coke bottles or something, but Haribo gummy bear is the sour one.
As a runner, I was fully on expecting Nerd Clusters. That's been the new
I haven't,
go-to.
I haven't gotten on that. Like I want to try it. I just haven't tried it out yet. I've been just doing boring old gels. You know?
You're in Orange County, not far from me. We'll have to go on a run together. I'll bring the Nerd Clusters.
Let's do it.
Favorite flavor of ice cream?
Probably black cherry if I had to pick one.
Oh, that's a good call. That's the first time anybody's ever said that. We've done 300 plus shows. First time anybody's ever said that.
Well, I'm glad to claim it because that is it's hard to pick just one, but that's a money flavor.
Burritos or tacos?
Tacos, less carbs.
You got to get the carbs for running marathons, though, man.
Yeah, but that's like a meal. I get my carbs when I get my carbs. You know what I mean?
Chocolate chip or oatmeal raisin?
Chocolate chip. If I have to pick between the two, I like a snickerdoodle.
Snickerdoodles are good too. Pumpkin spice or apple cider?
Oh, that's tough. I like them both, but I got some real, basic white girl coffee habits, so I gotta say pumpkin spice.
Last one for you. A tray of brownies has come out of the oven and has been sitting on the counter long enough to cool down so that you can cut into it. Are you a corner, an edge, or the middle kind of person?
No, I'll do the corner. I'm polite. Like I'm a polite person. If you're my buddy and I'm fucking with you, I'll go in the middle, fine. But like otherwise, I'm polite.
I'm going to the corner because I need to have a handle. I need to be able to hold the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's what a civilized person would do. That's what you're supposed to do.
Derrick, you have been an awesome guest. We will have to have you back on, especially after you race Tokyo and earn your 5th star in your 6th World Major Tour. Thanks for joining me, pal.
Is there any way I can get like an extra minute just to say one thing I've been hanging on to?
Yeah, say it. Take your time.
Y'all, our bodies were evolved to run. Like 1,000 years ago, before we had buildings and shit, we were hunting food by chasing it for hours and hours. So anyone who thinks they don't like to run or can't run or whatever, just know you are spitting in the face of thousands of years of evolutionary biology. I promise you that any time you spend running is actually reverting to your ideal natural primal state. That's the most I can say about running as far as recommending it.
100%. I agree. Get out there and run. Don't worry about whether somebody says you're too fast, too slow, wearing the wrong shoes, wrong shirt, whatever it is. Just run. It will be the greatest thing that you do that will lead to even greater things in your life. No doubt about it.
100%.
Appreciate you, brother. Have a good one.
Thanks for having me, man. See you next time.
If you managed to last this long, thank you so much. Time is the greatest gift that we can give to each other, and you've given me the gift of your time. Please remember to subscribe, rate, and review on all of your favorite podcast platforms. You can leave comments on Spotify. You can leave comments on YouTube. And when you review us on Apple Podcasts, talk about a specific episode if you want. But please do so. We really appreciate it. It does help us grow the show and get even more guests and great guests like Derrick Song. So thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time on the next Fireside Chat.